to the Token and Hobbs show on the Roads to Liberty Network.
ISIS and the police have in common?
Gee, I don't know. What do ISIS and the police have in common?
They both like to hide behind civilians.
But ching.
And funny enough, in neither case does anyone seem to give a shit about civilian casualties that might result from it. It's a very odd phenomenon, I would say, but you know what? That's what we get to talk about today. Welcome, everybody. This is another exciting episode of the Token and Hobbs show on the Roads to Liberty Network. I, of course, am your host of ceremonies, the master of everything, Token. With me is my buddy Hobbs. He's the vice master of the entire universe. So when I go on vacation,
am I the master of vice?
You can be the master of. I wish you were the master of vice, because maybe that website wouldn't be so shitty if you were the master of it.
Maybe.
So what are we talking about? You all know. We don't have to say it. The shooting that went on down in South Florida involving a UPS truck driven by one Frank Ordonez. Yeah, Frank Ordonez. And
Ordonez.
Is that how you pronounce it? Ordonez?
I don't know. You're the Hispanic, not me.
Really? Yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, the situation that went down in Texas is this sad situation in which a UPS truck was hijacked by a couple criminals following a failed jewelry heist. Now, from what I've been able to gather, this jewelry heist was conducted by two men, Alexander and Ronnie James Hill. I guess I didn't get his last name in there. But yeah, the two individuals, they robbed a jewelry store down in Florida. And the jewelry store owner decided he wasn't going to take that shit. And he shot at them.
As
you do, obviously. Hey, we're Second Amendment guys here, right? He shot at them. Oh, God, I wish he would have hit those fuckers, because this whole thing would have been avoided right then, right there. You know, and so they decided to flee the scene of the crime and, for whatever reason, steal a UPS truck with the driver still inside it. They then led the police on an hour-long chase through two different counties. By the end of it, they must have had like 24 police cars behind them. It was absolutely insane. And this whole situation culminated in the tragic deaths of the driver, a bystander, and both subjects. Do you have anything you want to say about this before we start playing the video and showing everybody exactly what we're talking about?
Well, it was an absolute shit show. I am led to believe that, at least in part, the Broward County Sheriff's Department was involved in this little clusterfuck that happened down there.
Yes,
so I don't know if they were trying to cowboy up in order to like make up for stepping on their dicks back in that Parkland shooting thing, where they just kind of hung around outside and ended up stepping on their dick even harder, or what the deal was. But apparently you've got two dudes in a UPS truck in standstill traffic. They have a hostage. They're surrounded by innocent people. It's a UPS truck, so you know it's low-jacked. It's got GPS tracking on it, and it's being followed by a helicopter. So rather than
they're not getting away.
Yeah, they're not getting away by any stretch of the imagination. So rather than just hanging back, or I don't know, like a tear gas grenade or a smoke grenade to cover their approach or whatever, they decided to just bum rush this truck in standstill traffic in crowded, surrounded by civilian vehicles, use the civilian vehicles for cover, and have a shootout Bonnie and Clyde style with a couple of guys in this delivery truck. Two innocent people lost their lives because why? Let's watch roll it.
Let's do it. Now, as you see, the truck is driving down the road right now, and it is approaching stalled traffic. It's a busy freeway. It's a Thursday afternoon. People are getting off the work. And the UPS is driving down the road, and it's stuck. It has nowhere to go. There's cars in front of it. There's cars to either side. It is finally stopped on the highway. And now you can see Coming up behind it are several police. Now I want you to see. You can see 3 police in this shot right here.
Can you make that full screen? Like crop us out and make sure so everybody can see it?
I don't know if I can actually do that.
Okay.
So yeah.
Whatever.
But yeah, that's what we got right there. You got 3 police officers. I don't believe this gray car on top is an undercover cop. I think that's a civilian vehicle. But I know for sure all of these vehicles that you see in the shot, every single one of these is a civilian vehicle. I want you to see what this cop right here in the middle does. He's just a blur right now, but look what he does. And remember, there's armed suspects inside this vehicle. What does this brave cop do? Boom. Right by where the driver is in that vehicle. And there's another one right there, another one right there. There's another cop coming up to join him. And you can't see it, but down below the shot, there's more cops coming in. But you got your brave officers using these civilian bystander vehicles that are just idling in the street because they stopped for the police sirens, using them as cover. As you can see, there's this individual trying to come out on the driver's side of the UPS truck. Now, I can't tell who shot first. It's absolutely impossible from these shots to know who shot first. It's very possible that the suspects in the vehicle may have shot first. But I want you to if I don't know if you guys can see it, but along the side of the truck, it is now riddled with bullet holes. There must be a dozen bullet holes in this thing already, and that's just on this side of the truck. I don't know what it looks like on the other side of the truck. So you can see a body falling out on the passenger side of the vehicle onto the concrete right now. More shots are being fired. You got more cops coming in here behind what looks like an unmarked vehicle. You got cops in the bottom who are standing out in the open. I want to say the cops on the top of the screen are hiding behind civilian vehicles, but these 3 in the bottom, right? They're out of the open, firing into the vehicle. Now, their mistake is, like I said today, you can see dozens and dozens of bullet holes on this side of the vehicle all over it. So they're not firing discipline shot. They're not choosing their shots. They're just unloading into this vehicle. Right. And the problem with that is they're forgetting one of the most important rules of gun safety. Know what's behind your target.
Right.
What's behind their target? Well, I'm seeing this white van right here. I'm seeing this red car right here. I'm seeing a lot of civilians right next to this vehicle, right in the line of fire. Just draw a straight line from where these cops are shooting to the interior of the truck. And if you miss it, well, even if you don't miss it, because it's just aluminum and glass, bullets go right through it. They can hit a bystander on the other side of that truck.
Now, it's something that a lot of people don't know about bullets and vehicles is that even handgun rounds, which are notoriously bad penetrators, will go through almost any part of a vehicle, like through and through. It'll go through the doors. It'll go through the windows and the windshield. It won't, it's not just going to zip right through it, but most of them will go through. About the only place that you're going to be safe taking cover behind a vehicle, even a delivery truck like a UPS truck, is going to be in the wheel wells, behind the steel rim of the tire, and behind the engine block. Now, I don't know if you have the video. I was just trying to find it on my tablet here so I could send it to you in the messenger, but I saw it on Facebook where somebody was driving down the freeway and they came up on this UPS truck on the back of a trailer, and they videotaped, they came up alongside of it, and it is just full of holes on that right side. And then they came up and looked inside of that the door there, and there's just blood all on the steps.
No, I saw that. It is just riddled with bullet holes. And you can tell, and this is what happens when there's a lot of police officers in a shootout.
Yeah, it's called sympathetic fire.
Exactly. What happens is everybody starts unloading on the vehicle at the same time. You have undisciplined fire, and you have all these cops shooting at once from different angles. The shots are going past the vehicle or through the vehicle, because you fire that many shots, some are going to miss. Right? They're going to end up hitting something that you don't intend to hit, right? And that is unfortunately what happened. So the UPS driver, Frank Ordonez, was inside the truck at the time, right? So again, they're shooting indiscriminately into the truck. This is not disciplined fire. They're not choosing their shots. And you can tell by the numerous bullet holes that are going into this truck. And you can see it's riddled with bullet holes. They're all over the place. I can only imagine what it was like inside that vehicle with all those rounds flying past your head. But Frank Ordonez was inside the truck, and God knows how many times he was hit, but I would imagine it'd be a lot with the undisciplined fire going into it. So that was the first consideration that they weren't making. There's two suspects that we know of. Choose your target. Aim and fire, right? There's a lot of you. Now, I understand that, you fire a lot of shots, some might miss, but if you're taking disciplined shots like you're supposed to, like you're trained to do, remember, these are not just Joe Blows with the guns. These are people who are supposedly supposed to have training with the weapon, right? These are people who are supposed to know how to use the weapon, who are supposed to know the proper stances and the proper procedures for firing that weapon. They're supposed to choose their targets and not just fire indiscriminately into a vehicle. They didn't do that. They decided it was a good idea to just unload on that, and you can see that from what the vehicle looks like after the fact.
And one report that I saw said that there was about 19 officers fired over 200 rounds into that vehicle.
Oh, I believe that. Absolutely, I believe that. I mean, just it's absolutely insane when you look at what happened. When you look at the way the vehicle looked after the fact, it's unbelievable. So that was the first thing, but of course, with that many rounds going off, you're gonna hit something else. And unfortunately, in this case, there was a second individual who was hit as well. I think I have his name here. The chase ended with
Rick Cutshaw, I think.
Rick Cutshaw. Yep, that was it. Rick Cutshaw. He was a 70-year-old man who was on his way home from work, and just wrong place, wrong time, and too many police officers not giving a damn what they hit, and he was caught in the crossfire and killed as a result. It's absolutely just a tragedy.
It's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing, and these police officers who were involved in this shooting need to be held accountable for this, because this was unacceptable, right? There was no reason to immediately come up on the vehicle like that. Now, if they get out and start trying to hijack other vehicles, now that's one of the objections I hear a lot of people saying, well, what have they gotten out and try to hijack other vehicles? Okay, well, then you can go all shoot out then. But the point is, there's a million different ways you could have done this, right? You didn't need 50 police cruisers chasing after them for one. Creates a situation where you just have a hailstorm of bullets flying into it, right? You can surround the area. He's stopped. He's not going anywhere, right? And if you look at the footage, it zooms out and there's police cars all over the area, right? So it's not like they could just run to the front of traffic, hijack another vehicle, and flee, because there's police in front of there too, right? So there's no escaping, right? The best thing they can hope to do is have a hostage situation, which is the situation they were already in, right?
Yep.
And why don't you want a hostage situation? Because you don't want the hostages to get hurt, right? So what did they ensure would happen by going the route they did? Well, they killed the hostage, right? So the very thing that you're trying to avoid, because here's what you want to happen. You want to make an arrest without incident, right? You want to bring these guys in with nobody getting hurt. But what the way the police in this situation went about going things ensured that people were going to die. Not just the suspect, but the hostage as well, because there's no way he could have survived that. Because like I said, they indiscriminately filled that vehicle with bullets, right? He wasn't surviving that. Nobody was surviving that. And it was the actions of the police in this situation who ensured that there would be no survivors in that vehicle. From what I see in that video, the police took absolutely no care in ensuring the safety of the hostage or of any of the bystanders around them. Because, like I said, to me, the most egregious part of all this was that the police officers actively put innocent bystanders between themselves and that vehicle. They were putting innocent bystanders in harm's way to protect themselves, using people as shields to ensure their own safety. And I don't know about you, man, but if that's what police officers are going to do, I'd rather them not be there at all.
Yeah, I'd rather take my own defense into my own hands.
Well, shit, even if you don't have anything to defend yourself with at the moment, just, well, at the very least, I mean, even if they take me hostage, at the very least, I don't have hundreds and hundreds of bullets flying through the air around me, right?
Yep.
I mean, at worst, they get away.
Yeah, and the jewelry is all insured. The packages that were in the UPS truck are all insured. You know, it's a minor monetary setback at the worst.
I mean, that's the worst situation, right? Because they had the vehicle stopped. The truck couldn't move. It was physically impossible for the truck to move. So worst things worse, they get out and run and try to take another hostage. I don't know. But at that point, now you have the chance to use a hostage negotiator. At that point, you bought yourself some time. I mean, it's a better situation than just going in guns blazing. That was the absolute worst thing they could have done. And there was no need for it, right? These guys were jewel thieves.
Yeah.
They didn't go out and just willy-nilly murdering people.
Right. Yeah, and that's one thing that I see a lot of people were bringing up and talking about was like, oh, you gotta react right away in the middle of a mass shooting. It's like, this wasn't a mass shooting. These weren't crazy people that were out to inflict as much damage as possible before they either killed themselves or committed suicide by cop. These guys had every intention of getting away with their crime. So you didn't exactly have, run the risk of the hostage situation turning violent until you escalated it. And that's what they did. They escalated it. They put the hostage takers back against a wall. And at that point, it's like, well, it looks like we're going to get hauled off to jail or filled full of bullets. So, they reacted defensively and paid for it. And unfortunately, two innocent people paid for it with them.
Yeah, absolutely they did. And then, like I said, hiding behind civilian vehicles is just absolutely unforgivable. It's cowardly. It's something you'd expect from a terrorist organization to do, quite frankly. And it pisses me off to no end to see so many people trying to justify this nonsense. And I see this from cop apologists all over the place. I'm going to share from my Instagram page. Man, I don't know if you can even see that. But this is our Instagram page, and I posted a meme. And you guys know the template. There's a soldier kneeling over the bed of a sleeping child, and he's taking arrows and grenades to the back. In this case, the soldiers are civilians, and the sleeping kid in the bed are the police, because, the police use the civilians as shield. And this one individual in here is like, negative. And I replied to him, so the police weren't taking cover behind civilians? He goes, of course they were. Wouldn't you? Rounds are incoming. Are you going to just stand there and get hit? Like, well, you forget. It seems like you don't understand the reason that police exist.
Yeah, and second of all, it looks like we can't tell from the video who actually shot first. Were rounds incoming?
We don't know. And secondly, we saw in the clip there were 3 officers standing in the open taking shots at the vehicle.
Right.
So yeah, that was an option. A better option, in fact. You expect organizations like Al Qaeda or ISIS to hide behind human shields. That's part of what makes them bad guys, right?
Yeah.
They're terrorists because they cowardly hide behind civilians.
Yeah.
That's bad. We understand this. But all of a sudden, some police officers hide behind civilians, and all of a sudden, it's like, well, what do you expect them to do? Put themselves in harm's way? Put themselves in danger? You can't expect them to do that when they have civilians they can put in harm's way instead.
It's not like they're wearing bulletproof vests or anything. Yeah,
It's not.
Carl Krambeck brings up a very excellent point. This is one time I wish they had the big armored vehicle to hide behind. Yes, that is why they have those things. Not to fucking roll up on your house in the middle of the night and shoot your dog on a red flag ERPO warning or whatever. It's for situations like this. And the one time that they needed it, they didn't roll it out.
Yeah,
Absolutely unreal.
They didn't give them time to roll it out. That's the thing. Like, that truck stopped and they were immediately on top of it shooting into the vehicle. Right? So even if they had this giant vehicle coming up behind them, it wouldn't have given them time to actually roll up on it.
Unreal.
And I see this a lot from people. There's a lot of cop apologists saying this. Well, what do you expect them to do? Do you honestly expect them to put themselves in harm's way when bullets are flying? And my answer is yes, I do. I expect that of you. That's what you're paid for. That's what you get the equipment for. That's why you have the vest. That's why you have the gun. That's why you're paid. That's why you're trained. It's why you were given this authority to arrest people, to fine people, to enforce the law. That's why this authority is given to you, because we are then entrusting you with our safety. Now, I understand as libertarians, we know that they're not there for our safety. We understand that the police don't actually have any legal duty to protect us. We know this. This is well known to us as libertarians, right? Because we don't trust agents of the state. And that's what police officers are. We don't trust the state, and we don't trust the people that they hire to enforce their edicts on us. But to Joe Blow citizen out there, they expect their police officers to put their lives on the line to protect us, the citizens of this country. That's what we expect from them. So when you ask me, what do I expect them to do? Stand out in the open instead of hiding behind civilians? Yes, I expect that of you. That is what you are expected to do. That is what my money is stolen from me to give to you for you to do. Right? We pay taxes, whether we want to or not. And part of the taxes we pay go to your goddamn salary. And I expect you to stand out in the open and shoot at that vehicle with well-aimed shots. Not indiscriminately shooting into a vehicle, not missing it and hitting cars behind it, because that was happening all day that day too. I expect you to put your own life on the line to defend the people who are just standing by there trying to get home. That is what you're paid to do. And if you can't do that, get another job. Go back to the station and quit, because you are useless at that point.
Yep.
I need another shot.
Yeah, like when they say, like, that guy, he said, like, wouldn't you hide behind civilians? It's like, well,
fuck no, I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't. Like, I am willing to maybe have given them the benefit of the doubt that running up on those civilian vehicles was in an effort to, sir or ma'am, you got to get out of this vehicle. We'll get you to safety or whatever. But no, first thing they did was up against the side of the vehicle and using it for cover. Not any even mild attempt to open up that driver's side door and, escort the people, get them, get out of the vehicle. We got to get you away to safety. We might have to use your vehicle as cover, and we don't want you fucking in it. That should have been priority number one, was to get the people that were between you and the bad guy on the other side of you.
Yeah, behind you. Yeah. Use yourself as a bullet shield.
Right.
That's what you are. You know what? You'd be a goddamn hero if you did that.
Yeah.
Heroic cop takes a bullet defending civilians. Bravo! My
I haven't seen a
perception of
headline.
police just went up.
I haven't
Great.
seen headlines like that since like the 1950s.
Instead, what do we have? Cowardly cop hides as school shooter kills kids. Right? Cowardly cops hides behind civilians on freeway to protect his ass. Those are the headlines I'm seeing. Not
Yep.
brave, heroic police officer jumps in front of a bullet to save a citizen. No, we don't see that. We see situations like this, and it's same goddamn sheriff. Not the same exact officers because it was a mix of different police departments. But yeah, the Broward County Sheriff's Office was there, right? I don't know if the specific cops hiding behind civilians for Broward County, but I wouldn't be surprised to learn that it was.
Yep. Hey, if I could just do a quick shout out here, one of my old Army buddies, Joel Stewart, we call him Boogie with Stu. He wants a shout out, so peace be upon you, brother.
Absolutely, I bet he's not a guy who would fucking put civilians in harm's way in order to protect his own ass.
Nope, quite the opposite. You know, on my third deployment, when I got blown up, he was supposed to be my driver or my gunner, but because we were training a lieutenant, I was the gunner and the lieutenant was in my seat. And when my truck got blown up, it tore him up inside that he wasn't in the truck with me. So, Stewie, you're good people.
Good people, man. Because you had to train a lieutenant. This is the worst.
Yeah, I had to kick him in the side of the head because he was freaking out.
Why do all terrible stories start with, so I was with this lieutenant one time?
That's how you know they're bullshit, because if you were with a lieutenant one time, you would still be lost.
You'd still be in Afghanistan trying to find your way back.
That's right.
Fucking lieutenants, dude, just awful. So I think we said everything we have to say about this. These police officers were absolutely in the wrong.
Right.
They did They did bad. Shame on you. Do better next time, or better yet, you don't get a second chance. You're fired. But here's the thing: I don't expect any of these officers to actually face any consequences for this. I don't expect it. I don't expect anybody to get more than a slap on the wrist.
I doubt that we'll even figure out their names.
Yeah, I mean, they're all on administrative leave right now, but that's just a paid vacation.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I'd be shocked beyond belief if any one of these officers is punished in any meaningful way. They might get a slap on the wrist, like, oh, you got to sit behind the desk for a few weeks until things blow over. And people forget about it, but
there's a few people out there that aren't going to let this blow over.
And shouldn't. They absolutely shouldn't let this blow over, because this was absolute bullshit. But I thought we'd move on to a different topic. Let's skip over the South Carolina police shooting topic for a second and talk about something a little more wholesome. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm going to pull up where is it here? This YouTube video. So I got to put that. Stop. Jesus, this computer has a mind. So a Dallas organization called Don't Comply recently held its 7th annual Feed the Need event. They provide food, clothing, sleeping bags, tents, and other essential supplies to homeless, and they do so while armed. The event is an open carry event. They carry weapons to discourage local police from trying to forcibly shut them down, which seems to have worked because police left them alone during the entire event. Group organizer Louis Mises had this to say: when the system makes it illegal to feed people without a license, the unintended consequences are that we become criminals when we feed homeless people in the street. What we do then is to get on equal playing field with the system, and we demonstrate that we can still help people. And we do it peacefully, with guns. Now, in Dallas, Texas, where this event is held, it's illegal to feed the homeless or provide them any sort of supplies without a license. Yes, that's right. You need to pay the state for the privilege of feeding homeless people.
Oi, mate, you got a license for that philanthropy?
Apparently, yeah. And then this is nothing new. I don't. think it was down in Tampa, Florida, a couple years ago, where an old man was actually arrested, for having the audacity to feed homeless people.
The
They
shame.
make you go through classes. They make you pay a fee. They make you jump through all these bureaucratic hoops just to give people food who need it. Now, there's a video of the event that I'll show you guys right now.
Early this year, normally we wait until noon, but we have plenty of clothes and everything for everybody. Down at the very end, right at that last table, there's a wellness check down there. If y'all have anything that's bothering you and need to look at, be sure and stop at that table and he can take a look at you.
So you can see there's a line of homeless people going quite a ways back. There must be 20, 30 homeless people there waiting to be helped by these people. And these people, they're volunteers. They don't have to do this. They set up this event at their own cost, their own time, and the state considers them to be criminals for the act of feeding and sheltering and helping out homeless people. These, according to the state, these 4 men that you see in the picture right in front of you, they're criminals, they're lawbreakers, they're the bad guys. And the brave police officers whose job it is to put them in cuffs, they're the heroes that we should all be siding with. All right, let's keep going.
Thanks a lot. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Awesome, 7th year.
And I love his shirt. It says "Keep calm and carry on," but it has a machine gun on it. I absolutely love that.
Hey, I'm Murdoch Pisgatti with Don't Comply. This is our 7th year doing Feed the Need here in
7th
downtown
year.
Dallas,
Nice.
across the street from the Awesome Street Shelter, where it is illegal to feed homeless people if you don't jump through all the hoops and licenses. And so we come down here well armed because we're not going to let anyone stop us. You know, you're starting to see this pushback and why the Second Amendment was invented. It was to take care of these tyrannical laws out there, and when the government is telling you you can't show compassion and give food to someone who's hungry, that's what the Second Amendment is for. It's for feeding the homeless.
There's a lot of controversy around this event because of the firearms. Is this a dangerous event?
It's the safest event you'll go to this year because people are armed, and it's like all of our events, they're all open carry and they're all completely safe and family friendly.
What is the reception from Dallas PD?
You know, they were a little apprehensive the first few years that they would have station officers down here to oversee us and babysit us. And, you know, these last 5 years, they just drive by, they'll kind of slow down and look and wave, and that's about it.
Do you want cheese on it?
Yes, ma'am.
Criminal! How dare you feed that man?
Do you have cheese?
Lawbreaker. Someone ought to put
Damn,
you in cuffs and take you to a jail.
That actually looks good.
Right? They got clothes there. They've got backpacks. This guy looks like he has a sleeping bag.
How are you? Jacket?
People helping people the way the good Lord intended.
So I'm going to stop it right there because I think we saw everything that we need to see. So basically, yeah, these are good people. They're doing the Lord's work, doing what any decent human being should be doing it, and they're criminals because of it.
Yep.
See, this is what libertarians are talking about when we say we don't trust the state, and we say that the state creates perverse incentives, right? Because the state wants to be the sole source of well-being for these people, right? And there's a few conflicting motivations going on here, because we all know that government is paradoxical as well as idiotic. And there's a lot of different moving parts when it comes to government, and oftentimes they work against each other. So we covered a story last week about how New York was trying to funnel off all their homeless people on New Jersey. Right? So there's branches of government that just want to get rid of homeless people. And you see this in the way that cities design their architecture now. They'll create benches that have armrests in the middle of them so that homeless people can't sleep on them. They'll put spikes under overpasses so that you can't comfortably sleep on them. They'll create slopes where they don't have to be sloped, so if you try to lay down, you're going to roll right off. Right? And these kind of designs have been incorporated into cities specifically to encourage homeless people to move on. But at the same time, government wants to be the sole source of nourishment for thousands of people. That is why social welfare nets have become so pervasive. The government wants to be the mom and dad for millions and millions and millions of people. Right, and they've done a very good job at doing this, to the point now where they make it illegal for anybody else to help the homeless without the government's consent. Right? You had to jump through all these hoops. You got to take these classes. You got to pay a fee. This, that, and this, all this nonsense that's really unnecessary if all you want to do is help people. Right?
So what the government they wrap it up in some type of like, oh, it's, on the off chance that one of these homeless people has an allergic reaction or, get some food poisoning or something, they can't turn around and sue your organization or sue the city for letting it happen. It's just they wrap it up in some type of like anti-litigiousness stuff, but really what it is they want to foster dependence on the state rather than the interdependence or rather the goodwill of people to other people.
Now, Carl says you can feed nonviolent prisoners dog shit, but you can't feed homeless people homemade food. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much that's how it is. Jesus, what was I gonna say? I forgot. I lost my train of thought right there. But yeah, this is what happens. The government handicaps private charitable organizations. They cut up they pull the rug out from under them and make it difficult for people to simply help people. Right? And then what does the government do? It comes in and says, oh, well, we're the only ones capable of doing this, guys. Look at all these poor, destitute people, and we, the government, we're the only people capable of taking care of them.
Yep.
That's what they like to do.
It's breaking your legs and acting incredulous when you're not thankful that they'll sell you a wheelchair.
Exactly. Like, look, guys, I'm giving you a hand up. I'm helping you out here. You ungrateful bastards. Why don't you just accept the wheelchair and vote for me?
Yep.
That's all we want. We just want your vote. We want your support. We want you to not kick off the boogaloo. I mean, in a state like Texas, gun culture is so ingrained that, seeing a bunch of people with guns in the street probably isn't that concerning. Man, I want to see this happen in California.
It won't.
I want to see this happen in the streets of Seattle or San Francisco or Los Angeles. Open carrying an M4 to feed the homeless.
Interesting that you brought up gun culture in Texas. You know who Count Dankula is on YouTube?
Yep. He's the one that taught his pug how to do a Nazi salute and got arrested for it.
Yep. Free speech died in the UK a long time ago. But anyways, he came to the United States for a number of events that he went to Chicago and LA and Austin, Texas, and Pennsylvania, and a couple other places.
Yeah.
And he recently released a video about some of the things that he experienced here. And he says that while he was down in Texas, he was in a convenience store getting a pack of cigarettes. And while he was in there, there were 6 guys. They weren't together, just 6 dudes. And every single one of them was open carrying a pistol on their hip. And he says, when I tell people this back in Scotland, they say, oh, that's terrifying. Weren't you scared? And he says, I tell them, no. I say that I was exactly where I wanted to be, because in the event that somebody would come into that store and try to rob it or commit violence, I'm standing in the middle of a half a dozen armed Texans. I've never felt more safe in my entire life. And that is why we have the Second Amendment. And he's like, I get it now. I get it now.
Like, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it?
Yep.
Is this on now? Okay, good. It's a beautiful thing. I absolutely love it. I love how people can arm themselves in defiance of the state and use that opportunity for good, to feed homeless people.
Yep.
Right? This is a good thing. This is something we should want. I'm going to try to find a video real
No,
quick.
the fact that they feel the need though to arm themselves just to feed the homeless people, that is an embarrassment.
Oh no,
But-
that
but it-
absolutely is an embarrassment.
But it also it has the opportunity to do what I like to do. When I carry in public, I often open carry, and I make an effort to be as courteous. Stand up straight, look people in the eye, smile, please and thank you, and everything. Because when you're carrying in public, you are an ambassador for the Second Amendment, and the people who would like to see that done away with have done a lot in the last 40 or 50 years to try and demonize the Second Amendment, make it seem like it's just something for hillbillies and people that are up to no good. So you got a lot of uphill battle to do. So you got to kind of do it in your own way. And these people are doing exactly that by doing a charitable act while armed.
Now I want to show you this video because it's absolutely hilarious what's going on in here. Now this is a video from the United Kingdom about knives,
I
and it is
saw this
fucking hilarious.
Fucking cringe.
Wow. My
Am I not getting
God.
it? Is that not coming through?
Oh, I'm seeing it.
No, is can you hear it though?
Yeah, I hear it just fine.
Okay.
Look at that. I feel
Look at
properly disturbed by this. These can be bought and be available on our streets.
Oh my.
Several kinds of knives are illegal to sell.
They're
in the
illegal
UK.
in the UK, but
Now,
you can
butterfly
somehow
knives,
get
flip
them
knives,
anyway.
even
Wow!
knives disguised as
Imagine
other
my
objects.
shock.
Though they're illegal to sell, how hard are they to actually get hold of?
How
Find
hard are
something
they to
try
get a
and
hold
find
of?
out.
Let's find
Went to a
out.
well-known
I just
online
ordered them in the
retailer,
mail and they
and
came
with a
right to
few
my
clicks of a
door.
button,
Well, it
I
looks
was able
like
to
your
get some
stupid
from
laws
China.
don't work, lady. Look how hard she's struggling to get
Got
this package
transformer
open.
face
This
This
is what gun
knife-
laws do to people.
Very clever. This is disguised.
And look, this is
as a
actually kind of
bracelet.
cool. Look, it's like a
Fully
bracelet,
Yeah.
transformed hands.
right?
It's got the face of
and there's a
transformer
knife
on it.
hidden in it. That's
And the
pretty
blade
cool. Look, she
is
pulled it
inside
apart.
there. Look
Oh
at
my god!
that.
Look at that!
Put it on
Like
your wrist.
It's like a toothpick.
Flip it. Well,
Yeah, you
flick
can
it
pick
open
food out of your teeth with this thing.
very quickly.
It's like you can just do
you
some
can
serious
It
damage.
looks like it's at least
Right.
Look, it's at least an
half
inch and a
long.
half long.
A lot of thought has gone into the
Whoa!
engineering. The fact that with one hand.
I love seeing
You
these
can
things because like immediately
release
after
the
you see in the
blade
comment section, it's just Americans
and hold
posting
it
pictures with their gun.
effectively knife someone. So
It's like look what I did with my
Wrap 'em
knife,
up
and it's a
well.
picture of a bayonet on a gun. This one looks pretty dangerous too.
look at this.
Look
It's a knife. It's
Yeah.
not meant to be
Butterfly knife.
safe.
Ooh, a butterfly knife.
My God.
Oh
Look at
my god.
I want
Somebody,
to.
somebody fetch your
Unbelievable.
pearls to
The
clutch.
damage this
She'll
could
be in the
do to
parlor on the
somebody
fainting
with
couch.
Just one
With
stab.
one stab.
This makes me really
This
angry.
makes me really angry.
knowing
There are
that
kids. Our
can be
kids
out there.
can go out
buying
and
this.
buy one
You
of these
think
on
they're
the
safe?
internet. We
This
think we're
is the
safe,
tip of
but
the
then
iceberg.
sharp
Been
steel
packaged.
exists. How can we really be safe if
These are
sharp
credit
steel
card
exists?
knives. So,
All you need is a
Very
fucking bench grinder and a piece of scrap metal.
you little.
Oh, look, a credit card knife. That's pretty
Bends.
cool. I can kind of. It doesn't
Prevent
look
you
very
from
secure. I'd be afraid of that thing like coming apart and
deadly
cutting my hand.
Yeah.
weapon. I'm
Is
not
it?
gonna lie.
I mean, the concept
Pretty
is
sick
cool. A knife
like
that you
that,
fit in your
because
pocket, in your wallet, like a
just
credit
taking a
card.
knife
Like,
that looks like a
that's
credit card,
kind of
but
neat.
be in someone's
But
Yeah.
wallet.
looks like I'd cut myself
Every
trying to
night
use
out.
it. You know,
It
if I
is
actually had to
nice.
stab somebody with
This
it.
It'd be a
looks
good
like
little
it
rabbit
could be
skinner.
your
Yeah,
garden
probably. But I mean,
family
just
knife.
a regular
It's
knife would be so
oily.
much better for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, look at that, a switchblade.
You
That's
can see
illegal.
it's
How is this
decorated
lady
in
not
the
being
groups of
arrested for
3
possession
teeth.
of illegal
These can be
knives?
bought and
Because
be
she's a
available on our
journalist and
streets.
she's better than you.
Now, this is my favorite. Look, I lived in northern Florida half my life, and everybody there carries this exact knife.
Which one is it?
The one on screen right in one of you, the one that just kind of flips out. Look at it. It's just a flip
Our
knife.
streets.
Press a button and it flips out.
Oh yeah.
Everybody has that knife.
I'm
That is not an uncommon thing.
actually quite
Like, I
speechless
guarantee you,
of
half the people that you know walking around the street right now, they have that knife on them.
I have one very similar. I don't have it with me because my pants are in the other room, but I carry it with me every day.
See, I had a knife like that. I carried it. I carried it at work to switch out a lids because I used it to pop the little holder for the lids off, and then I freaking cut my finger open one day trying to do that. Like the locking mechanism broke, and the knife just whoop, closed, and my finger just happened to be there. Uh-oh. I finished my route though before I went to get stitches in it. You want to know what the craziest thing? I never had stitches before in my life.
Right.
Never. So I go in and get my stitches. The worst part of the whole experience was when they injected my finger with that anesthetic that they put in there. Oh my God, that shit burned so bad. That was the worst. Like, and they didn't even warn me, right? I'm sitting there like, oh, I'm going to stick the needle in. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not a bitch. I can take it. It's just a needle. And they start putting it in like, oh God, why didn't you tell me it would hurt like that?
You know, my dad did the exact same thing. He shoes horses, or at least he used to. You know, he's fucking 70 years old now. But he's putting the horseshoe nail through a horse's foot one time, and the horse kicked, and it split his ring finger open all the way down to the bone from the palm.
God.
Yeah, from the palm all the way to the tip of his finger. So all this crazy son of a bitch did was wrap his finger in McDonald's napkins and duct tape until he got home. And then my mom was like, "What'd you do to your finger?" And he says, "I cut it." She pulls that makeshift bandage off, and his finger just fillets open. And she's like, "We're going to the hospital." And she said that, he works all day with his finger split in half. They go to the hospital, and they go to inject the anesthetic into his finger, and he screams like a little girl.
Yeah, dude, that shit's no joke. I mean, I didn't scream, but I'm freaking start clutching at first, like, oh God, what the fuck is that? It hurts so bad. Like, seriously, getting cut with a knife didn't hurt nearly as bad as that shit did.
Yeah, because you see it coming, and you're expecting that it's going to hurt at least a little bit. Like when the thing that initially injures you happens, you don't see it coming, it happens, and then it happened, and then your body like kicks adrenaline in to like dumb the pain down, and it's like, whatever.
Yeah, and by the time it's really hurting, it's more of a throb than searing pain.
Right.
Right, because that's what you expect when you get cut is the searing pain instead of the dull throb.
Right.
But really, what happens? You cut yourself, you're like, "Fuck! Oh God, I'm bleeding a lot. What the fuck?" You don't really feel it until afterwards, until they stick that needle in your finger.
Yep.
And oh God, it hurts so bad.
Yep. Carl says, "Can't we all just tough guy finger snap West Side Story style and have a nice dance gang fight before we get out the narwhal tusks?" Yep. Tough guy finger snapping.
All right, man. I'm the Sharks, you're the Jets. Let's do this shit.
Warriors, come out and play.
Pretty sure that's the wrong movie.
I don't care.
That's not West Side Story.
Who cares?
I fucking love West Side Story. It's just a Romeo and Juliet story, but with Gans called the Sharks and the Jets. It's fucking weird. Like, yeah, I've got a great idea for a gang. What are we gonna call it? The Jets.
Do we have a guy named Benny?
I don't know. It's cute. We want to finish. Let's finish this video.
Yeah.
Not often speechless, but words fail me at the
poor
moment.
thing.
Words fail me at the moment. Come on.
Oh, you poor thing. You're sad because knives exist and people have access to them. Oh no! Well,
Humanity's oldest tool. Literally, some caveman banged two rocks together and figured out that he could cut shit with one of them. And you're speechless.
You think you're safe, and then you realize that our kids can get access to sharpened metal. And then it's like, what's the point of even living anymore? We need more government to control our lives. I mean, those barbaric Americans have fully semi-automatic guns that they have access to.
30 magazines.
What barbarians? Fully semi-automatic machine guns. They have Gatling guns and tanks, and they're just shooting everybody in the streets. It's an everyday occurrence, and we're above that. We're all above that. We don't even allow people to have sharp metal objects.
No. When it comes down to it, a Polish man must defend us with a narwhal tusk.
How fucking crazy is that? A Polish guy with a narwhal tusk. Where did he even get that?
The bar that the attacker started his rampage in was called the Fishmonger's Hall. It's a bar that has kind of a fisherman theme, and the narwhal tusk is just hanging up. It's like a trophy hanging up on the wall. And when this fucking Durka decided he wanted to go all Allahu Akbar on people, start stabbing people, some Polak decided to rip the narwhal tusk off the wall and go all winged hussar on his ass. And
dude, fucking Poles are based as fuck.
Yep.
Can you imagine being a Pole, right? You're on vacation. I'm just imagining this dude. He's on vacation. He's in a bar. He's drinking himself to death, as Eastern Europeans are known to do. And all of a sudden, this Durka comes out of nowhere and boom, starts stabbing people. And you're drunk as fuck. You're just kind of sitting there taking it all in, like, this is what I came to England for. And then you grab you go to the tusk that you've been eyeing all day.
Yep.
You grab that shit and just start wailing on this guy.
I need a sharp object to retaliate. Broken beer bottle? No.
Too short.
Narwhal.
I need more reach.
I need more reach. You done fucked up now, Muhammad. You brought a knife to a narwhal tusk fight.
Dude, I'm just picturing this dude who's like, man, these Brits are all pussies. They don't even have knives. And I'll take out a dozen of them before they get me. And here comes this fucking Pole with a narwhal tusk. It's like, oh, God, curse my luck. What are the odds? Out of nowhere. Fucking, what? You're from where? You're fighting me with what?
The only thing that stops a bad guy with a knife is a good Polak with a narwhal. I mean, we really shouldn't laugh about it because 2 people did die. He did manage to kill 2 people, but the absurdity of it.
Dude, it is completely absurd. A narwhal tusk. And it took a Pole to do it.
The unicorn of the sea.
He just ripped it off the wall.
Yep.
And did it. What a rare thing. And speaking of rare things, we have one more topic I wanted to get to. Well, we had another police shooting that we wanted to get to, but that video is 6 minutes long, and you really need to watch the whole thing. So let's talk about Hillary Clinton.
Do we have to?
We don't have to, but we're going to anyway.
She's like herpes. She just keeps coming back.
I know. No matter how much you try to get rid of her, she just doesn't stay away. Carl says, I'm not sure if it's a step up from a broken broomstick, really. I mean, yeah, it is, though, because, I mean, the novelty of it.
Yeah, right? Because a broken broomstick might be expected. A narwhal tusk is just from way out in left field.
I mean, you gain the added benefit of surprise. You come at someone with a broomstick, you're like, all right, it's a broomstick. I know what this is. Come at something with a tusk. A narwhal tusk, and I can just picture you just hesitating for just a second, like taking it in what this guy is trying to fight you with.
Excuse me, what the fuck?
It's like, what is that? Just tell me what that is first. A narwhal tusk, really? Huh? I'm just gonna leave. You win. I'm gonna go. I'm just gonna turn myself in right now. Is what I'm gonna do.
Boy. One twist.
So anyway, we wanted to talk about Hillary Clinton. So this is from the New York Post. It goes, a new poll of registered Democrats have Hillary Clinton as their top choice for the 2020 Democratic nomination. And
Bullshit.
she's not even running.
Bullshit.
I don't know, dude. I don't doubt this. I don't doubt this at all.
I just want to know how much Clinton Foundation cash went to these pollsters.
I want to know how many people who were voting for other candidates ultimately found themselves suicided. That's what I want to know. It goes on. The online Harris Poll survey released by the Center for American Political Studies at Harvard found that Clinton placed first with 21% of the vote, followed closely by former Vice President Joe Biden at 20%, Bernie Sanders at 12%, Warren at 9%, and Michael Bloomberg at 7%. So you see that the radicals are really far behind in that poll. Right. But now here's the catch. It polled 1,800 people, and that's it. 1,800 people were polled for this thing. So the sample size isn't the biggest, but I mean, that's polls don't usually need to have thousands and thousands and thousands of people to get an accurate reading on what people are thinking. So even so, the fact that Hillary Clinton, who's not even running, polled at 21% after she was the one that lost to Donald Trump in the first place. Dude, Democrats really are that stupid.
Either that or these polls are cooked, or this was the strategy all along. And that's something that I've seen a lot of people whose opinions I respect state, that the idea all along was if Hillary Clinton came out at the beginning was like, we're gonna have round 2 Donald Trump, roar, people would just kind of laugh her off the stage. But if the Democrats put forward the current clown car that they have, and then Hillary Clinton goes, oh, I guess I'll run if everybody wants me to, then she can save face and run again and make it look like she's being pressed into service.
Like she's the hero coming to save the Democrats from their own craziness.
Exactly. So she'll have that kind of heroic, matronly, elder stateswoman type, coming in at the 11th hour to save everybody's bacon or whatever, rather than just the power-hungry, cackling murder lady that she is.
I'm sure it's happened before, but never in my lifetime has the loser of a presidential election just kind of come back and try to win the next time against the same candidate. It's kind of amazing. If she decides to run, that would be pretty amazing. God, when was the last time someone who lost the presidential election ran again? Nixon did it, didn't he?
Oh, Mitt Romney tried. But he got beat by Donald Trump. Yeah, he got beat by Trump in the primary.
He didn't run, though. Romney didn't run.
He didn't? Pretty sure
no, he was thinking about it. He was thinking about jumping in when it looked like Trump would win. No, here's what it was. The Republicans were thinking about changing the convention rules last second and giving the nomination to Mitt Romney. But he didn't actually run in the primaries.
Okay.
So I think I'm not a political historian, so I could be wrong about this, but Nixon lost to Kennedy initially, right?
Yeah.
And then he somehow found his way into the White House.
Yeah.
So there's one example for you right there. But that was Richard Nixon. People liked Richard Nixon, right? He may have ended up being a crook, but people liked him at the time.
Yeah, he couldn't beat Kennedy's charisma, but the next time around,
but once Kennedy had a bullet in the head, then it wasn't really a problem after that. Tasteless joke, I know. Did LBJ run for re-election against him?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. That's before my time. If there's any boomers watching, I know it's past your bedtime, but if you want to drop in the comments section and tell me who Nixon beat in his first victory for president, that would be great. Because I'm not going to look it up because I really don't care that much.
V for victory, Aru.
All right. No. Plot twist, dude. Nixon is coming back as a floating head in a jar. That's right. And then I'd vote for him. if it's floating head in a jar of Richard Nixon versus Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, I'm voting for the floating head.
Exactly, and it's just like in that episode of Futurama. The Constitution says that nobody can serve more than 2 terms, but as you can see, I've got a shiny new body. So yeah,
I'd vote for him.
loopholes.
If anybody can exploit a loophole like that, it would be floating head in a jar of Richard Nixon.
Ricky Dick Nixon.
And with that, we will call it a night. Remember, everybody, the Facebook page, Roads to Liberty. We want those 10,000 likes, and the fucking white supremacists are stopping us from getting it. I'm very saddened by that. Facebook is taking the side of white supremacists over good, innocent people like us. And
Terrible.
That shouldn't be allowed to stand.
Nope.
Horrible. Just because we want to yeet white supremacists in the Great Boogaloo doesn't mean we shouldn't be allowed to have our posts go out to thousands of people on Facebook. Facebook, you're done fucking up. You're taking the side of white supremacists. And all we said was they would get in the helicopter too.
Yep.
So I said, right? There's nothing violent about that.
And for all their virtue signaling that they do, they sure are coming to their defense pretty quick.
They sure are quick to jump to the aid of white supremacists. Bunch of fuckers. Anyway, I'm not bitter. I'm not angry about that. It's given me the opportunity to focus more on Instagram, which is Roads to 2 Liberty, where I've been pissing up cop lovers and bootleggers all day long. I'm telling you, you will not. You don't know the butthurt you can cause by using pro-cop hashtags in anti-cop memes. Oh my God, they hate it. I love how much they hate it. So check out our Instagram account right now. Also on Twitter, we're starting to use that finally. We got a guy who has decided to help us run that. So hopefully go like us on Twitter, because hopefully you'll see a lot of new activity on there. We're on YouTube, on SoundCloud, most places that podcasts are found. This will probably be our last Token and Hobbs episode for the year because of the holidays coming up. But when we come back, I am hoping to have some big news for all of you fine folks. So keep tuned. And when I say big news, I mean big news. So keep tuned for that. We'll see you next year. Anything you want to say, Hobbs?
This may be the last episode of Token and Hobbs for the year, but I still have some episode of my show on Fridays, Observations, coming up. I did not do one last week because I had my company's Christmas party that I attended. I will never turn down free food and drinks. So this week, we are going to be finishing up with Malachias Gaskin, author of Warrior's Garden and owner of Honor 22 Farms. We're going to be hopefully getting off of the Big Pharma is a scam and more into homesteading, gardening, maybe get into some homeschooling if people are interested in that, how you can get started on that and keep everything above board. And next Friday, still kind of in the works on getting it set up, but next Friday, speaking of so much cop butthurt, we are going to be having the first 3-way observations with Mark Andrew from Thick Boog Line. He was a pretty popular guest. And Lyman Bishop from Hoplite Armor is hopefully coming back.
He's coming back?
Yeah, boy.
I might have to jump in on that for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, if you guys don't know, Hoplite Armor has been absolutely killing it on their social media since the shooting in Florida went down.
Oh yeah.
The butthurt that they have caused is amazing. It's funny because they took it down. There's this page called Drug Enforcement Officers.
A way to hang your hat on the least popular aspect of law enforcing.
Exactly. The bootlickiest of bootlickers got all pissy because they were calling out these cops in Florida for doing the wrong thing. And as you expect, cops come to the aid of other cops who are doing the wrong thing, especially cops like drug enforcement officers who are inherently always doing the wrong thing just by existing.
Yep.
So I might have to jump in for a few minutes. because they have become my low-key hero as of late.
Yes, definitely part of the based entities of the week. So yes, next Friday, Thick Boog Line and Hoplite Armor. This week, Malachi's Gaskin. And I forgot to mention, I put it up on the last announcement. I was going to give to the first 2 people who commented, but in an effort to sort of incentivize more interaction with the audience, Malachi's Gaskin is very generously donating 2 copies of his book to 2 people who comment and ask questions on that live stream. We're just gonna, put names in a hat and do a random drawing.
Well, I mean, if it's the first 2, it's going to be Carl and Mercedes because they're like,
Yeah.
they're right on the ball every Tuesday.
every
They're right
Tuesday.
there,
Right.
and we appreciate you guys.
Right. So we're gonna try to incentivize some audience interaction. Join us Friday night, 9 p.m. Central Time. Ask your questions to me and Malachias, and have your name entered for a chance to win a copy of his book.
Awesome. Remember, everyone, the website is roadto2liberty.com. That's roadto2liberty.com. Last Token of Hobbs show of the year. Hope you guys enjoy it. Y'all have a good night.
I am not a crook.